What is up, y'all? This is the Philly Fly Show checking in for another week here. We got UFC pay-per-view 318, and we are back. I'm so happy to be back. Gonna toot my horn here a little bit. Last week with UFC Fight Night, Derek Lewis versus Taliesin Teixeira, that was a horrible main event ending. Fight got called way too early. I don't care that the dude pulled himself up with his hand. It might be because I had it on the UFC show, Philly Fly show, trying to pick it, but it has actually nothing to do with that. I just felt that Teixeira wasn't really out. So, yes, he got dropped. Yes, he wasn't fully there. He got rocked, but he wasn't out. He wasn't done. Fight, I think, could have went on. Could have took 2 points from him for the fence pull. That's the whole explanation that the UFC and everyone gave us. Hey, stuff happens, man. Stuff happens in those main events. But 9 for 12 still really good for the UFC, or for the Philly Fly Show. God, I keep saying UFC. For the Philly Fly Show, because our picks have been on fire this year. Main event is only at like 53, 54%. That kind of sucks, but main events are hard, man. The matchmakers know what they're doing. They make great matchups. They match up well. This is another UFC pay-per-view 318. It's like, woo! Perfect card. One of the perfect cards. Not out there as the best card, but it's a perfect setup card if you haven't looked at the matchups yet. I'm gonna go over them and tell you anyways, but I needed that water because I just recorded a 20-minute podcast, a recording, and I got the wrong number on here all the way down to match league number 4, and guess what? I just tried to pull it up on my freaking phone here that's recording me, and guess what happens? It stops recording, and I haven't fully gotten to the editing part. That's my next goal on my little goal sheet here that I have right here for a bunch of things in life. If you haven't done something like this, write things down, man. When you write things down for whatever reason, they start to happen, and sometimes you don't even have to work on them. It just happens. But I got goals. I got stuff that I want to work on, but I screwed this up, so I'm re-recording this podcast, jumping back into a way different way to record this and speed it up a little bit, which I actually in my brain pretty happy for. I should have stopped and put out the ranking system that I wanted to do in here. I'm not going to do that. That's going to be the next goal thing. I'm going to actually write that in there in about 20 seconds here, but we're going to jump into it really quick here. If you don't know, the BMF title is on the line for UFC. Max Holloway versus Dustin the Diamond Poirier. And if you don't know, this is Dustin the Diamond Poirier's last fight. It's a sad day for us, especially at the Philly Fly Show. DP, and when I first watched him, was around the time he came in to the UFC that I remember first seeing him, because it was like around 2013-ish. But I wasn't a big fan of his. I didn't like his attitude. He was a little too cocky for me, and he wasn't humbled enough. And then he got that fight with Conor McGregor, and he got twerked. The first fight, not the other two I'm not talking about. But then Dustin started to grow on me in his fights. I started watching him. I'm like, dude, this dude's a dog. Like, I don't know why I didn't really like him. Like, yeah, he can kind of be a D-bag, but very good fighter. A guy who just stands and bangs. And it's a shout out to DP. Dustin the Diamond Poirier. There's only 2 fighters right now where when I finally get a memorabilia UFC stuff, because I don't have a bunch of it over here yet. I haven't set up my backlog. But I have a lot of memorabilia. Like, I mean a lot. And I like to collect it. One of those type of people. I need to get some more UFC stuff. This is literally my only UFC thing I have is from when I went to UFC Minneapolis. So I'm going to invest in 2 things. There's 2 fighters, though. I just want to say that have always been my top favorites. So I'm either going to get a card of them or a picture or something, and it'll be in the background here. But the 2 I've decided to do. One's in the UFC and one's retiring on Saturday, and I'm getting a Dustin the Diamond Poirier something. Definitely want to get his hot sauce. I'm trying to figure that one out and have some side money that I want to throw around and get some of his hot sauce. But going to get a memorabilia of him and Charles do Bronx, man. That's my favorite fighter. That's my top favorite fighter, but DP became one of them. DP's fighting on Saturday, and I cannot wait to see the rematch. 3rd time. for him and Max Holloway. But we're going to jump into something different. Well, not something different here. We're going to jump into the prelims here. Match like number 14, since there's 14 fights, it's a flyweight female division, and it's only female fight on this whole card. Carly Judas versus Nicole Calare. Nicole's a plus 280 underdog, whereas Carly's a negative 370 favorite. Carly is a Louisiana native, so that's why I think the odds makers got her such a far favor. I think just the money's coming in on her side too much. And, hey, I'm going to lean on that side too. I like Nicole's MMA skill set. I love Carly's skill set, but I think Carly edges her out 3 out of 5 on the confidence level. She can get her hand raised. Middleweight bout here, match like number 13, Bruno Ferreira versus Jackson McVeigh. I am seeing online that they're saying Sadiq Dumas is fighting on Saturday. He is not fighting. That dude got arrested, and he's got to figure out his law thing before UFC lets him fight again. Jackson McVeigh, though, is making his UFC debut. He's making a really, really bad UFC debut against Bruno Ferreira, but that's big hopes on this guy by the UFC, which is a good thing because Jackson McVeigh has got 6-0, all 6 finishes. Yes, it's in LFA, but LFA is a good undercard promotion for pro fighters to work their way into the UFC. But Bruno Ferreira, man, he's going to get the job done on Saturday. 1 out of 5 on the confidence that he does. Even though he's negative 600, I think it's more of negative like 250-ish that the odds should actually be because Jackson McVeigh does have some good hype and good hands behind him. All right, match like number 12 here. We got a heavyweight bout with Ryan Spann and Lucas Bereski. Now, Bereski's a plus 190 underdog, whereas Ryan Spann's a negative 235 favorite. This is a don't bet fight, guys. I'm not putting this on anything. If you're going to bet it, bet the single side and bet Bereski's side because he's a true heavyweight, whereas Ryan Spann is not a true heavyweight, still working his way into the heavyweight division. He was a light heavyweight for years. He's got a bad gas tank. When he gets in brawls, he just tends to take the worst of the shots and end up getting knocked out or just not able to perform because of his gas tank. So it's a don't bet fight. Bereski gets his hand raised 1 out of 5 on the confidence level. He gets his hand raised on Saturday. All right, now, match like number 11 is a banger. This is a don't miss fight, light heavyweight fight. Jimmy Crute versus Marcin Prachnio. Prachnio is a plus 270 underdog, whereas Jimmy Crute's a negative 350 favorite. Jimmy Crute says he is going to grapple and show his grappling again in this fight, which is where Prachnio's not done good against fighters who can grapple and mix it up well. But we have not seen Jimmy do that since he submitted Paul Craig, which he can submit people. So him grappling is not a bad thing. It's just we haven't seen him do it. He likes to get in brawls, and he likes to stand and bang, and it ends badly, bad on the Jimmy Crute side. But Marcin Prachnio has just fought killers and killers and killers, just like Jimmy has. So it's a good fight. I'm picking Jimmy to get the win here. I'm going that he's going to grapple and show some grappling, though. That's what I'm leaning on, but we got to see how that fight plays out once they get to the ring. 1 out of 5 on a confidence level that Jimmy Crute can get his hand raised. All right, match like number 10 here as a welterweight fight. Adam Fugitt versus Islam Duladov. Duladov is making his UFC debut. Fugitt's fought some good fighters, so he's got some great experience behind him. That plus 450 was looking a little intriguing because of the experience behind him, but man, Duladov's skill set is just going to be too much for him. That power is going to be too much for him. It's going to be a nasty fight on Saturday for Adam Fugitt, and it could not spell well for him if he doesn't at least show a little bit of something. So I'm going to go with the negative 700 favorite Duladov, 3 out of 5 on the confidence level. He can get his hand raised on Saturday. Alrighty, we are moving a little fast here, but it's all right, guys. It's all good. Match like number 9 here is a middleweight fight. Atiba Gautier versus Robert Valentin. Now, Valentin's a plus 400 underdog, whereas Atiba is a negative 600 favorite. If you don't know anything about Atiba, this prospect is nuts, man. He doesn't lift weights, and when you see his physique on Saturday, you're going to be like, what in the bleep? Like, dude doesn't lift weights, and he looks like that. He just trains and fights people and grapples and trains and just what? It's going to be insane. It is a bad matchup, I think, for Valentin. I know he's got experience in UFC. I know he's got more MMA experience than a 23-year-old and Atiba, but Atiba, that dude has got crazy power. The only way Robert can win, I see on Saturday, is the first 2 rounds making Atiba put everything into it and Robert being able to take any of those shots that Atiba puts into it. And that's just not going to happen. 4 out of 5 on the confidence level that Atiba Gautier, negative 600, gets his hand raised on Saturday. I will be utterly shocked. It'll be one of the biggest upsets ever if Robert Valentin can get his hand raised on Saturday, man. Woo! All right. Welterweight. We'll go back to the welterweight division here. Match league number 8. Francisco Prado versus Nikolai Vetremikov. Now, Vetremikov is a plus 125 underdog. Prado is a negative 150 favorite. Personally, if you want, you can go either way on here. But the thing I noticed about Prado is dude fought in the lightweight division and was killing himself getting to the weight class. It's one of those things where you're like, does his gas tank die off and everything just not work for him because he's killing himself? Or when you see him get on the scale, when you see Prado get on the scale, you notice it right away. You're like, whoa, he actually looks bigger and better because he's in the welterweight division now. Nikolai's just a bigger guy anyway, so he looked bigger, but it's not. I don't think it's the same. Prado is a 1-3 in his UFC fights, whereas Nikolai is 0-2. I just think Prado is going to look really good for his welterweight debut. The downfall and what scares me the most and why I couldn't be super confident that he would get his hand raised, well, when you're making your debut in a different division going up 15 pounds, it could take 2 to 3 fights to actually get into that division and get your physique and actually be able to compete. But I think Prado can do it. Against a guy who's a true welterweight, I want to see it play out in the ring. So I'm only confident on the Prado side at 1 out of 5 on the confidence level that he can get his hand raised. All right, this one right here, guys, this banger has already played itself out a little bit. So Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. These two were supporting their fellow teammates at PFL on a fight thing at the Hard Rock in Florida. I think they both live or train there, so they were talking crap about each other before, and then when they knew each other were going to be at this PFL thing, they were saying meet up and fight wherever. It's on like Donkey Kong style. Well, those guys got it on like Donkey Kong style. People couldn't separate them fast enough. Brendan landed at least one good shot in that exchange, if you've seen the clip. But the best part about something like that happening in MMA or UFC period, because it's the UFC show, these guys got to finish that grudge match in the ring and get paid to do it. It's going to be a banger, guys. I don't see, even though Brendan and Vettori do kind of mix in grappling in most of their game plans, this is not going to, the game plans are thrown out the water here. These guys are going to stand, they're going to slug each other in the face, and it's going to be a beautiful show for us. This is don't miss middleweight fight. Marvin Vettori is a plus 165 underdog, whereas Brendan Allen's a negative 195 favorite. Look, man, Vettori, I don't think's recovered from a shoulder injury. It doesn't sound like it. So is he actually going to be 100%, whereas Brendan is going to be 100% and probably going to be coming to take some heads off. I know Vettori's going to try, but Brendan's going to do it. Brendan gets his hand raised on Saturday, and it's a 3 out of 5 on that confidence level that Brendan Allen gets a big victory on Saturday, and we all get to enjoy it. Featured prelim bout is a bantamweight fight between Kyler Enter the Matrix Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira. Vinicius Oliveira is a negative 140 favorite, whereas Kyler is a plus 120 underdog. Look, man, the difference in fight you're going to see is that Kyler is more crisp and more technical. Oliveira is a dog. He can grapple. He can do it all. They both can grapple, so I think that just equalizes each other out, and we're going to see a stand-up banger fight. But this guy, Oliveira, he stands with his hands down, and that's what scares me with Kyler being such a technical guy. If he just throws straights, and Oliveira cannot get his strikes off because his hands, he always has his hands really low so he can get better power. I don't know, man. It was hard for me to pick. I flipped the coin, honestly, and it landed on the Oliveira side. So this is don't put it on your parlays, but put it on something if you got some DFS or something. Get some good money on these guys. Because sit back, watch, and enjoy. Because Enter the Matrix and Oliveira are going to put on the show for the featured prelim. All right, here we'll jump into the main event, or not main event, main card. Your show's getting a little long here, so I'm going to jump right into it. Lightweight bout, Michael Johnson versus Daniil Zellhuber. Zellhuber's a negative 700 favorite, plus 450 on Michael Johnson. You can bet whatever way you want on this. If you feel that way, I don't think Johnson can win against Zellhuber because of how big Zellhuber is and how good of a striker he is. But Johnson's, he's a brawler, so he can get in there. He could get some wins. He's a little on the older on the 2 side, but sometimes I get a resurgence like his 2-fight win streak. He's trying to make it 3. I'd sprinkle 20 or $25 on him. That's about as much as I would do on the plus 450 side. But Zellhuber's going to get that W on Saturday. 3 out of 5 on the confidence level that can happen. We'll jump to the featherweight division here. Dan 50K E-Game, Patricio Pitbull. This is where I screwed up the last recording. Now I have it written down right. I had them both written at the negative. Sometimes my handwriting just goes out the window. My brain fogs out. Negative 240 on Dan 50K E-Game, plus 195 on Patricio. What I have to say about Patricio right here before I jump into this, dude took the worst matchup I think he could have took for his first UFC fight. He should have went and worked himself up there. I know he's old in the tooth, people say, but I think he can make a good UFC career if he would have just shot a little lower. Again, he shot a little high taking on a guy with that crazy power like 50K E-Game, but hey, things happen, man. The difference, what I think is going to happen here is I think Patricio is going to grapple him a little bit. I know Dan works on it. I know Dan's good at grappling defense. He's not mainly an offensive grappler. He's more of a throw bombs type guy. But Patricio's smart. I think he sees that game plan. I think that's the game plan he goes with. I like the plus 195 so much that I'm going Patricio to get his first UFC victory against 50K E-Game, but it is a risk, boys and girls. You can do it if you want. It's the way I would lean. This is more of a single bet on my side, not a parlay style. But Patricio, I think, can get the job done on Saturday. I think Dan 50K E-Game sees that too. I could tell by the way he was at the press conference and the respect he gave him. So, all right, welterweight fight here. Kevin Big Mouth Holland versus Daniil Rodriguez. The reason why this fight's so intriguing to me is I think it was like a year and a half ago. There's 3 fighters or 6 fighters, 3 fights on a card. All 3 of them had to get mixed up into different fights. That's how we ended up seeing Li Lejang versus Khamzat Chimaev. Or no, we saw Kevin Holland versus Khamzat Chimaev. I don't even remember how it played out. All I know is 3 fights had to get switched around with all 3 different opponents that were all fighting around the same weight class. And it was crazy that they even got that done in the UFC to save a pay-per-view, but they did it, and it worked, and we all loved it. But that was Kevin Holland and Daniil Rodriguez were supposed to fight, and they ended up not fighting. So it's great to see these guys fight. I don't like the odds, though. Negative 700 on Kevin Holland. D-Rod gets plus 450. You could sprinkle $25 on D-Rod, but I think Kevin Holland will be too much for him. What I think what is going to happen, on my feeling, they'll stand and throw with each other for a bit. Someone's going to land. They're not going to like it. That someone I think will be Kevin Holland landing on Daniil. D-Rod will go in for like that takedown, and that's where the mistakes happen. The big mistake always happens now. Kevin Holland's worked on that grappling, and now he can submit you in a bunch of ways because you don't respect his grappling. Yeah, that's how I see this playing out on Saturday. Kevin Holland gets his hand raised 1 out of 5 on the confidence level because if they stand and bang, Neil's a little better at that one. He's more of a brawler than Kevin, but Kevin is a freaking dog. So don't bet against Kevin Holland. Just don't. Co-main event of the evening. If you would have asked me 2 days ago who I thought was winning, I would have told you Paulo Costa. You want to ask me right now because I get to tell you, and I got to tell you anyways. It's Roman Kopylov. Roman Kopylov negative 235 versus Paulo Costa. At Paulo's a plus 190 underdog. Roman's the favorite. The only reason I picked Roman now. Not like they're both not good fighters, so that take that out of your piping, whatever. It came down to that press conference where they were talking, and Paulo Costa could not sit still. He's shaking, he's jumping up and down, and you could say it was related to drugs. A lot of people are saying cocaine, but I don't think it has anything to do with that. That dude talked about how bad his depression was and how bad of a drinker he was, and I think it had something to do with that. I think if he doesn't drink, if he's stayed sober, which I just don't see, I think it just has to do with something with that. And I just don't think the guy's fully back. I think he looks the part, but he hasn't played the part in years, man. So Roman Kopylov, I think your skill set's going to be too much for him. I think grappling, striking, I think you lead the dance. The only dance I don't think you lead is crazy power, and that's just because dude's nuts. Like, have you seen it? Have you seen him? Dude's nuts. So Roman Kopylov gets his hand raised 3 out of 5 on the confidence that he gets it done on Saturday. And then we're here at the main event. My voice is trailing off because I've recorded twice. This is my second time recording, almost the same amount. It's almost gone. Here's the drink of water to finish the main event. Oh my gosh, guys. Woo! Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, the Diamond retires. His last fight for the BMF title, and if he wins it, it goes off in the distance in the lightweight division. Whew! The lightweight division, man. The lightweight division. Max negative 130, Dustin plus 110. By the time you probably get there, that's still going to be a pick 'em, or Max might be the slight edge favorite. The difference in this fight is Dustin's been at lightweight for a while. This is Max's only third lightweight fight. He looks like a real lightweight now compared to the first time they fought in his first lightweight fight, but that fight with Justin just doesn't sit right with me. Like, he looked good. There's nothing bad about it. The difference maker is I don't think he knocks Justin out that way without that spinning kick to the nose. And if that spinning kick doesn't go to the nose, if it plays, that scenario is 1 in 1,000 to me, the way it played out. Justin does the flinch down to go for a takedown, which he never does. And as he's doing it, Max was already throwing the spin kick. And it just lands on the nose and breaks his nose in the first round. He does that in round 2. I still think it plays out that way, but it happens in round 3 or 4. Doesn't play out that way to me. I mean, Max has got the power, but you don't knock Justin out like that. We just haven't seen that. So that is what's in everybody's mind, and that is not what's in my mind. What's in my mind is Dustin just, every fight brings it. Every fight's a banger. Every single one, his boxing, he shows why he should be technically one of the best boxers in the UFC. I just don't understand how people don't see it. I get Max was great forever at featherweight, but it's not been that way. So how is Dustin the underdog? Is it because it's his last fight? It's in his hometown. He's going to be too emotional? I think all that leads in Dustin's favor. And the other thing that leads in Dustin's favor is we haven't seen Max in a brawl. The time we started to see it, got KO'd by Ilya. That was a crazy fight. He landed such a shot that I thought Ilya was done. He just ate it. So when it gets into those style fights, that's where Max, he finds it. He goes up against it, man. So if Max wins on Saturday, because he overcame something that I just don't see happening. Dustin gets his hand raised on Saturday. Dustin with the win. DP, Philly Fly Show standing behind you, going to be supporting it and going to be throwing you on a bunch of DFSs because I got some money, and this is what I'm going to lean into. 3 out of 5 on the confidence that Dustin gets his hand raised. I think he's just the better lightweight. I just think he's the better lightweight. He loses, guess what? He loses. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But this is what I want to chit-chat about with y'all really quick. I can't show you because it's on my phone. I don't have it on a piece of paper. But last week, I play DFS every week almost. And I always throw down like $10 on like 3 different ones, pick different lineups, ride around with it. It's just fun. It's really fun. And I only do the classic 6 fighters. I don't do the one with the captain anymore. I only do that in football because that one I've seen some crazy things win too. A buddy of mine at my work when I first started was playing the Packers-Bears when they kicked off on Sunday night or Thursday night, or it was Thursday or Sunday night. Dude won because he made the lineup, but he won like he won $300,000 on a $10 bet. So me, I always play around with it because it can happen. It's just almost a random thing that can happen. But last week I was in one for $3 with like 50,000 people in it. The max prize was like $20K or something like that. And I was in first place, tied with like 43 people with the same exact lineup. But we were all in first place before that Derek Lewis fight. $900 and some I was going to be splitting with these people. And Derek Lewis is the only one I couldn't have a first or second round finish. It goes to the third round. I have a shot at still taking that first place and not dropping as far as I did. But I didn't win the money. I went from first place to 170th, and 170th only paid me $11. I made more on an $8 one than I did on the $3 one, and I placed way bad in the $8. Nutty thing. But it's a fun thing to do. I'll throw it out there on the X today once I make some lineups, and y'all can. I won't even throw it on the X. I'll throw it on the X, and I'll throw it on my Philly Fly Show page. Yo, check out my Facebook page. The host here, I share it on a lot of things. If you're friends with me already, just like it, like my page, follow this, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and we'll see y'all next week, or might be 2 weeks, but for sure gonna see you on. I'm coming back with these live shows, and I'm loving it, having fun. Peace the bleep out, y'all. Oh, that didn't work.